Tonight, 13 investigates court rulings in El Paso County that could impact more than 1,000 DUI cases that came about during the pandemic.
Some judges have ruled that drivers' rights were violated when the Colorado Springs Police Department failed to use breath tests for nearly a year. Chief investigative reporter Chelsea Brensel is live outside the police operations headquarters in Colorado Springs to explain.
In March 2020, the Colorado Springs Police Department suspended breath testing for DUIs. The idea was to prevent the spread of COVID-19, but it's how long Springs Police had that policy in place that is resulting in dismissed cases and evidence being tossed out. When you are pulled over by a Colorado police officer and are under the suspicion of DUI, you have a few options. Drivers can refuse to take a blood alcohol test, or
the express consent law in Colorado allows a motorist to elect between a blood or a breath test.
But in March 2020, CSPD stopped breath tests due to COVID-19 concerns. They didn't resume breath testing as required under the law until 11 months later in February 2021. Colorado Springs defense attorney Joe Mayer says other agencies in the area either didn't stop breath testing or only limited breath testing for a short time. This court order shows that CSPD did not restart breath testing even after the Colorado Department of Health and Environment sent the agency a memo with options on how to make breath testing safer.
You have government officials making these decisions to deprive citizens of statutory rights that our legislature, our representatives, put in place, right? We've decided that those are our rights. They decided that it doesn't matter, we're not going to give them to you.
In some CSPD DUI cases during the pandemic, county judges have ruled to throw out blood testing evidence because drivers didn't get the option of a breath test. There has also been at least one outright dismissal of a CSPD DUI case where a driver refused a blood test.
So, potentially over an 11-month period, there were, nearly 4,000, somewhere around 3,000 some people affected by this. Okay? Not every one of those drivers is going to fall into this category, but the bulk of them will.
The 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office says they are reviewing court orders, and after a review will determine their next steps. The Colorado Springs Police Department says they looked at available evidence, consulted with the DA's office, and believe they made the best decision to protect the safety of the public, officers, and suspects. Reporting live in Colorado Springs, Chelsea Brensel, 13 Investigates.